The cause of premature ejaculation. This is our second lecture about this issue. What's the cause of premature ejaculation? We ended our previous lecture with the question, what's the cause of premature ejaculation? And this lecture is the answer to that question. The cause of premature ejaculation. Remember our last question? Cause of anxiety or depression or patience? Now, much as people will pin me down that patience is just a gift from heaven and you either have it or not, the truth of the matter is that this is a skill that can be taught to anyone who cares. As a matter of fact, there are people who thought weren't patient until circumstances in their lives taught them how to be. Until they are disciplined, they learned how to be patient. This is a practical thing. It's not about reading books. It's experience, it's life that can teach you to be patient. Now, patience is something psychological. It's a state of mind, as is depression, anxiety, and all that. And here's one interesting thing, one fortunate thing about psychological thing. Anything psychological can be learned or unlearned. Premature ejaculation follows the same norm. It's also psychological. It's not genetic or natural, and it can be learned or unlearned. Just like one can learn how to smoke so good that they can't do without it, which people fancily term addiction, or master the art of nail biting or leg tapping so good that you do it without realizing that you are doing it. All these things are learned. They are psychological. Now, speaking of learning, by the way, here's another question. Why is it easier and faster to learn some things? And why is it harder to unlearn them? Why is it easier to learn some things and harder to unlearn them? And why is it harder to learn some things and easier to unlearn them? Well, those two questions are as good as asking, why are sweet, interesting things learned faster than the boring ones? And why are the sweet, interesting things harder to unlearn compared to boring ones? You see, every habit is started by the first action. And if you like it, you do it again. If it feels good, you do it again and again until you no longer have to think of doing it, but you just do it anyway. People call this getting addicted, but truth be told, every addiction requires some level of effort and passion. You don't just wake up one day and you get addicted to sex. No, it's a process, one step at a time. Now, like, how can one get addicted to touching girls he sits next in the train? Simple. You sit right next to a girl the first time and you touch her, and maybe she enjoys it, and you enjoy it too. Sweet as such an act is, you do it another time, and it's fun. You enjoy it, then you do it another time and another until it becomes a compelling habit. A habit so compelling and energizing that you'd rather go to the moon than unlearn it. But I'm going to show you an interesting scenario that can unlearn that habit, one that does it pretty fast. Now, let's say on a bad day, you sit next to a stressed girl. Probably she has been chucked, she had a bad relationship, and then you touch her and she reacts, she abuses you, shouts at you. Can you ever want to do that again? The answer is nope, you can't. And the whole heck of a bad habit can be wiped away by a single bad experience. Pain and pleasure. That's the technique. Learning and unlearning all rotates around pain and pleasure. We can't speak of learning and unlearning without mentioning pain and pleasure. These two emotions help us to learn or unlearn anything. Whenever something makes us feel good, it's something of pleasure. We want to learn it and we want to learn it real fast. We did very well, and if it makes us feel pain, then we immediately want to unlearn it. We try to avoid it. Therefore, we can't learn it. Our brain switches off. When it's sweet, interesting, our brain switches on. And therefore, we learn it pretty fast. If it's boring, if it's painful, hurting, our brain switches off, and we don't want to learn such a thing. That's the reason why mathematics used to be so hard, because once people are not figuring out, once those calculations are giving people some headaches, then they switch off. But because I used to wonder, why would someone, why would because I'm one of these people. NLP taught me one thing, that the brain can learn anything, and it can unlearn anything. And good memory or bad memory is not it's not upon the person, but the situation. Because I've seen people watch movies, a whole series of movies, 20 episodes, and they remember everything that happens in that movie, but they can't recall math calculations. They can't recall the steps you have to take to differentiate a number or do logarithm, those complicated things. I hope they are not even phobic to you. But this all rotates around pain and pleasure. When something is pleasurable, and I recall we used to have some really interesting teachers who would teach you very well. They are so motivating, they are cracking some jokes, and they would make this thing so interesting. Lucky teachers. Those are some of the teachers who would make a subject interesting, and once it's interesting, everyone learns it. People pass it. But if it's painful, let's say the teacher is so hard on you, once it's associated with pain, maybe the teacher is so hard on you, it can throw in a slap at any time, people will be on tension, and the brain switches off once it's something to do with pain, and hence you don't learn. So this is the entire concept of learning and unlearning. Now, truthfully speaking, no man was born with premature ejaculation. I'll have to be blunt with you on that. But it was just conditioned. Learned, I prefer this word, learned. Mostly by pornography, the erotic movies we watch that make us really want to release very fast, right there and then. It's a programming, it's a conditioning. It's something that God conditioned on us. And because it's pleasurable to ejaculate, we even learned it so fast that I can pronounce the word learn. Speaking of one of the things that have taught people how to ejaculate really fast, then there's this deadly habit that I want to reveal to you. And if you're experiencing premature ejaculation, chances are you're a fan of it. Guess what? Masturbation. Well, that isn't just a fancy concept. It's one thing to know that masturbation causes premature ejaculation. But do you know why and how? It's important to know how it causes than just knowing the plain concept. Actually, NLP emphasizes the question how is more important than what or why, because how is the process. Once you understand the process behind a certain pattern or behavior, then you can be able to influence that pattern and behavior. You can change it, you can twist it, you can get rid of it once you know the process. So it's also very important to understand the process of how this masturbation leads to premature ejaculation. Very, very important. Because for your notes, if you understand the process of creating premature ejaculation using like how it's created by masturbation or whatever leads it to it, whatever pattern leads to premature ejaculation, whatever conditions you to premature ejaculation, once you understand that process, then you can even use that, you can reverse it. NLP is about understanding process from where you are to the outcome. Once you understand the process, whatever takes you there, then you'll be able to influence it. So if you understand how masturbation causes premature ejaculation, then you can even use that very masturbation to take it away. Like I said, you have to understand the process. The process is better than the end point. Now, let me explain to you an example of how masturbation can cause premature ejaculation right here. Let me explain to you how masturbation can cause premature ejaculation. Like every habit, you first do it once and you enjoy it, then you do it again and also enjoy it until it becomes part of you. This is even faster to learn, like I said, since it's an act of pleasure. Now, masturbation in its own self doesn't cause premature ejaculation. You have to understand that. As a matter of fact, you can even use it to teach yourself over cure ejaculation, which is taking really long, I will reveal to you right here. Now, here is how premature ejaculation comes into play with masturbation. Now, while you're doing it, there might be this impulsive tendency to want to release so fast. Every time you're doing it, you want to release so fast in a few minutes or seconds. Now, you do it for long enough until you program your brain to release so fast. You condition yourself, like someone condition themselves and they do it and they release after 1 minute, after 2 seconds, or whichever time. Now, when they condition themselves to do that, the brain is programmed to do that act. It programs the brain to release so fast. You get that process? Like while you are doing it, you end up unintentionally, by the way. People unintentionally end up doing this. They end up programming themselves to release so fast. You see, the brain is like a computer and it can be programmed or reprogrammed. Here's an example of a string of code you send to your brain to make it send a command to your reproductory system to release so fast using masturbation. Here is the code. While having sex and you enjoying it, then release very fast. And since this is an act of pleasure, like I said again, the brain learns it faster than I can pronounce the word learn. Then heck, it becomes part of you. You keep wondering why you only take 40 seconds inside. Don't wonder anymore. You are the one who gave your brain that command. The brain was programmed to do that fast. So this is one of the causes. But there are many. There are others that I will mention, but this is one of the major ones that I've seen, especially from experience of the past students. This is a deadly habit, but people do it unintentionally, unwillingly. I would say perhaps they are well intentioned but misinformed, because maybe they do it to have some pleasure, but they end up spoiling themselves because you program your mind to release so fast. That's what people do. Well, that has been our lecture, the cause of premature ejaculation, and we have given you that. To give you a recap of this lecture, is psychological and is something you can learn or unlearn. And in these lectures, in this course specifically, we are going to teach you how to unlearn premature ejaculation. We are going to give you tips that will program your mind, because the brain is the most sexually sensitive part of your body. It's the commanding center. So all I need to do is to teach you some few techniques here and there to send commands to your brain to reprogram it such that you take long time in bed, you last longer in bed. That's what we'll teach you right here. So watch out our next lectures.